is the devil. Okay, so we find out that Jim is a Christian. Okay. Guess that's just going to stay there. That's fine. Let me go back to my highlighter. There we go. And upon my word, I felt sorry to see him in a moment turn so old and sick. Come on, Bill, you know me. You know an old shipmate, Bill Shirley. The captain made a sort of gasp. Black Dog, said he. Black Dog, said he. And who else? Returned the other, more at his ease. Black Dog as ever was, come for to see his old shipmate Billy at the Admiral Benbow Inn. Ah, Bill, we have seen a sight of times, us two, since I lost them 2 talons, holding up his mutilated hand. So it's a short, quick line, but it's super telling. So we find out that these 2 guys used to be shipmates. They used to serve on the same ship. We also find out that the last time they saw each other, Bill got the cut on his face and Black Dog lost his fingers. Okay? So we find out that the very last time they saw each other, they both got some kind of really bad wound. So that's super interesting. Now look here, said the captain. You run me down? Here I am. Well, speak up. What is it? That's you, Bill, returned Black Dog. You're in the right of it, Billy. And I'll have a glass of rum from this dear child here, as I've took such a liking to. And we'll sit down, if you please, and talk square, like old shipmates. When I returned with the rum, they were already seated on either side of the captain's breakfast table, Black Dog next to the door and sitting sideways, so as to have one eye on his old shipmate, and one, as I thought, on his retreat. Super sketchy right there, too. He bade me go and leave the door wide open. None of your keyholes for me, sonny, he said, and I left them together and retired into the bar. For a long time, though, I certainly did my best to listen. I could hear nothing but a low gaddling. But at last the voices began to grow higher, and I could pick up a word or two, mostly oaths from the captain. No, and then none of it, he cried once again, and again, if it comes to swinging, swing all, say I. Meaning, back then, remember we learned a lot about in the presentations that when a person was captured for being a pirate, what happened to them? They got hung, like they were hung. And died. So if he's saying if one swings, everyone swings. So now we can assume that if these are old shipmates, that they were all part of the same pirate crew. Then, all of a sudden, there was a tremendous explosion of oaths and other noises. The chair and table went over in a lump, a clash of steel followed, and then a cry of pain. And the next instant I saw Black Dog in full flight, and the captain hotly pursuing, both with drawn cutlasses, and the former streaming blood from the left shoulder. Just as the door the captain aimed at the fugitive one last tremendous cut, which would certainly have split him to the chin, had it not been intercepted by our old signboard of Admiral Benbow. You may see the notch on the lower side of that frame to this day. That blow was the last of the battle. Out upon the road, Black Dog, in spite of his wound, showed a wonderful clean pair of heels, and disappeared over the edge of a hill in half of a minute. The captain, for his part, stood staring at the signboard like a bewildered man. Then he passed his hand over his eyes several times, and he turned back into the house. So this is, right here, this is what happened. Okay. The captain goes to swing his sword that would have split Black Dog right down the middle of his head, but it got stuck in the signboard over the inn. So that's what happened. So we know that captain's not just talk. He can actually fight. All right. Jim, says he, rum. And as he spoke, I reeled a little and caught himself with one hand against the wall. Are you hurt? Cried I. Rum, he repeated. I must get away from here. Rum! I ran to fetch it, but I was quite unsteady by all that had fallen out, and I broke one glass and fouled the tap, and while I was getting in my own way, I heard a loud fall in the parlor, and running in, beheld the captain lying full length upon the floor. At the same instant, my mother, alarmed by the cries and fighting, came downstairs to help me. About time, Mrs. Hawkins. Geez, where have you been? Jim over here, 12-year-old, just went in a fight between two pirates with swords and almost died. They almost died, so about time you showed up. Between us, we raised his head. He was breathing very loud and hard, but his eyes were closed, and his face a horrible color. "Oh, dearie me," cried my mother, "what a disgrace upon the house! And your poor father sick!" In the meantime, we had no idea what to do to help the captain, nor any other thought but that he had got his death hurt in the scuffle with the stranger. I got the rum, to be sure, and tried to put it down his throat, but his teeth were tightly shut, and his jaws as strong as iron. Meaning, you guys, he's having a stroke, okay? So he's kind of having a seizure. It was a happy relief for us when the door opened and Dr. Livesey came in on his visit to my father. What great timing, though. Thank you, Dr. Livesey. "Oh, doctor," we cried, "what shall we do? Where is he wounded?" "Wounded? A fiddlestick's end," said the doctor. "No more wounded than you or I. This man has had a stroke, as I warned him. Now, Mrs. Hawkins, just you run upstairs to your husband and tell him, if possible, nothing about it. For my part, I must do my best to save this fellow's trebly worthless life. Jim, you get me a basin." When I got back with the basin, the doctor had already ripped up the captain's sleeve and exposed his great sinewy arm. It was tattooed in several places. "Here's luck," "a fair wind," and "Billy Bones, his fancy," were very neatly and clearly executed on the forearm, and up near the shoulder there was a sketch of a gallows and a man hanging from it. Done, as I thought, with great spirit. "Prophetic," said the doctor, touching this picture with his finger. Meaning, look at that, he's telling his own future. "And now, Master Billy Bones, if that be your name, we'll have a look at the color of your blood. Jim," he said, "are you afraid of blood?" "No, sir," said I. "Well, then," said he, "you hold the basin." And with that he took his lancet and opened a vein. A great deal of blood was taken before the captain opened his eyes and looked mistily about him. First he recognized the doctor with an unmistakable frown, and then his glance fell upon me, and he looked relieved. But suddenly his color changed, and he tried to raise himself, crying, "Where's Black Dog?" "There is no Black Dog here," said the doctor, "except what you have on your own back. You have been drinking rum, you have had a stroke, precisely as I told you, and I have just very much against my own will dragged you head foremost out of the grave. Now, Mr. Bones—" "That's not my name," he interrupted. "Much I care," returned the doctor. "It's the name of a buccaneer of my acquaintance, and I'll call you by it for the sake of shortness. And what I have to say to you is this. One glass of rum won't kill you, but if you take one, you'll take another, and I stake my wig, if you don't break off short, you'll die. Do you understand that? Die, and go to your own place, like the man in the Bible. Come now, make an effort. I'll help you to your bed for once." So here's a lot of really great indirect characterization on the doctor as well. Dr. Livesey is kind. He is firm. He is strong. He is, he doesn't take any lip from anybody, but he also cares about people. His value as a doctor is more important to him than his own personal feelings. And he doesn't care if this guy is a murderer or whatever. He's going to save his life. He's also saying things like, he's also a Christian. He's like, if you don't break off short, meaning if you don't stop drinking rum immediately, like if you don't quit cold turkey, you're going to die and go to your own place, meaning you're going to go to hell. Okay? You're going to go to hell because you're not acting like a Christian. You're not repenting, etc., etc. Okay? And stake my wig. Dr. Livesey has naturally dark hair, but he wears a white powdered wig to kind of show what kind of person he is. Let me see if I can find a picture of him. Let's see. Dr. Livesey in Treasure Island. Let's see. Well, these aren't great. it. That's fine. Okay. All right. Here's a decent looking one, I guess. Okay. Now in this one he's not wearing a wig. But here we go. There's the doctor. There we go. That's better. I'm sorry, the Muppets are killing me. Because I forgot there's a Muppet Treasure Island. It's okay. Alright, so he wears a wig to kind of show his status. Back then, if you had a wig as a judge and a doctor, you were high status. Okay? Between us, with much trouble, we managed to hoist him upstairs and laid him on his bed, where his head fell back on the pillow, as if he were almost fainting. Now mind you, said the doctor, I clear my conscience. The name of rum for you is death. And with that, he went off to see my father, taking me with him by the arm. This is nothing, he said as soon as he had closed the door. I have drawn blood enough to keep him quiet for a while. He should lie for a week where he is. That is the best thing for him, and you. But another stroke would settle him, meaning would kill him. Okay, and that is the end of chapter 2. Okay. You also have to remember that at the time this book was written, around the 1700s or so, or at least when it's taking place in the 1700s, they did not have a super great idea of medicine. Back then, a lot of times they thought, hey, let me drain all the blood out of your body and see if that helps you. It doesn't really. But the doctor is still a very good doctor. It's just some of these practices that he does in the book are out of date, very much so. All right, guys, that has been chapter 2. Hopefully, these recordings won't be quite so long as we move forward. And then also, hopefully, we'll be able to use something called Microsoft Teams. So I'm going to show that to you now as well. So if you ever went to, let's see if I can show you on here. Okay, so if I go to Office 365, okay, here is what your page looks like, right? Okay, Outlook is your email. Okay, that's your email, like mine. Okay, Outlook is your email. OneDrive, that's where all your documents are. Same with Word and PowerPoint. But the thing I want to show you is something called Teams. Okay, so if you clicked Teams, okay, this is where you go. You go to a new thing called Teams. And I set up and invited you all, if you look in your emails, okay, I set you all up with a different class for each team. Okay, so I'm going to close this tab and go to where I already have it set up. All right, so hour 1, if you go to your hour 1, you could go to places. See, look, I already posted stuff, and you can use emojis and videos, and you can also video chat here, which is really, really cool, and do text and stuff to me and to each other for more active participation. All right, so every single class has their own team. All right, and I posted basically almost the same thing in each one. So this is where we're going to do live discussions to each other. We're going to video chat, all right, at least once a week. Okay, now when we do that, I'll send out a schedule of some kind, and if you can show up, great. Show up, link in, link up. If you can't, what's really cool is that while we do video chats through Teams, you know, here and meeting now and whatnot, it records it. So I'll be able to upload the videos. So when we have in-class discussions, when we read together and discuss together, we'll be able to participate a bit more together. All right. So we're not going to only do these screencasts where I read the story to you. Sometimes we're going to read them together. All right. And that'll be more like an actual class setting. All right, and that'll make things a lot easier and a lot more fun and more in person rather than you just watching videos and not hearing from me. All right, so make sure that you, 1, check your emails, and 2, check your teams. Okay, all right, guys, it's been real. Peace out. See you until next time. Love ya.